Okay.
So, what we do here in Monroe is we just get together and read the Course in Miracles. We generally take a paragraph at a time and then read it. And the course is speaks it says the same thing over and over and over again, but in different ways in order to unravel the intellect of how people perceive. So it's sometimes, we scratch our heads and go, what the heck does that mean? And then we all, with our heads together, figure it out. But it's a difficult read on your own. That's why doing it in a group is oftentimes the best thing to do. The Course in Miracles is a channeled work, and I'm not a big fan of channeling. I never think that channels actually get much right. But in this case, it is as close to what I think Christ would be than anything I've ever heard before. There's a place in the Course in Miracles that says, I have come to clarify my teachings because this is the mystical teachings of Christ. So you'll find it you'll have questions and be sure to ask them. We all read, you won't be reading because you're driving. That will not be safe. So when you get home, you can jump on if you choose to do that. But the Course of Miracles, I knew the man, Bill Thetford, who organized all the initial writings of the Course of Miracles. His associate, her name was Helen, began this automatic writing and thought she was going insane, presented it to Bill Thetford, and he was like, "You have to complete it. This is the most important body of work that he had ever read." And when it was done, it was, I don't know, 300 some odd pages later in 10-point font. The course was published. There's people, I don't know, there's millions of people all over the world in study groups studying the Course of Miracles. So this is our group. This is our little sanctuary on Tuesday nights. We all at the end, we generally write down something that we've heard in the evening, a paragraph or a sentence that we want to practice throughout the upcoming week. And that's part of our ritual that we do. So that's kind of the very vague outline of what the course is about and what we do in it. So it's very informal, and we encourage people to ask questions and all of that. There's generally a couple other people here. Jane will probably show up later, and Linda will come at some point. No, I guess she won't because she's traveling or something.
Don't know. Yeah.
Yep, yep. Okay. So you want to start, V?
Sure. I will share the text.
Well, we should go through
Comment
what our
around.
Oh, yes, yes. Mine was a big one too, so
uh,
looking forward to sharing that. So, who wants to start?
You can.
Okay, all right, I'll
yeah,
start.
go for it, V.
My takeaway from last week was I'm allowed to be an example for the transformation that is possible.
How'd you do?
And it was a big one. I have decided to I have a website for my coaching, but I haven't really
Yep.
been active on it. So I've started my first newsletter, and I have found on the weekend, I found all this stuff that I've been writing, and I publish articles in the local magazine or newspaper, and they've been quite good. They're supposed to be about counting, but they tend to be about people,
Hmm.
relationships, and evolution. So I'm keeping those as well. So I have a huge um, catalogue of articles that I can source. But I was also I've been thinking all year that I'd like to put a book together, but I'm not sure how to do that or how to actually monetize all this writing that I've done. So I'm still
Hmm.
kind of looking at that, but I think this is a good first step.
I support you getting on ChatGPT and asking for some standard like how to write a book in sections. Like there's certain sections that
Yep.
will like you start with what is the problem, what is the cause of the problem, and then what's the solution. And then you can organize your chapters into three main categories that follows a flow from problem to solution.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think that would be something really wonderful. And then let ChatGPT edit and
Mhm.
create the bridges between the different chapters. Um, it'll go quicker
Mm,
and it'll be edited really, really well.
cool. And speaking of books, Gary, how is yours going?
Well, funny you should ask because I actually am doing exactly that. I started again and I'm reorganizing it more into a flow, which I didn't have before. And it's different, and I think it's going to be really good. So I feel far more confident that I can get it done. So every weekend I'm spending a day. I do two more chapters every weekend. So because I've
Nice.
got them all written, I just have to
Yeah.
create a connection between all the chapters. So
Mm,
yeah,
hmm.
I'm happy with it. So
Fabulous.
here's mine. It is a denial of the spark that brings depression for whatever you see your brothers without it. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. It is in denial. It is a denial of the spark that brings depression, comma. For whatever you see your brothers without it, you are denying God. So it comes back to the whole premise of, to see that spark of the divine in all people at all times. And that is really the way to a greater level of peace. And practicing that, it's it's been a journey this week, especially because so much has happened in America with Charlie Kirk's assassination. That yeah, it's been a journey with that because lots of interesting emotions are very high in the U.S. right now. Hey
Another
Jay,
interesting thing,
what's
real
that,
quick.
Joe?
Another interesting thing. Bibles on Amazon doubled in price since his assassination.
No
Yep.
doubt, no
Yep.
doubt.
Wow,
Interesting.
Yeah,
it's wild.
yeah, it's all good.
Hi, Jane.
Hey, great to be here. Hello, Monroe.
Hey
That's
there, how
Welcome.
are you? Thank
Great to
you.
have
I
you
appreciate
here.
it.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
sure.
I'm going to turn on my fan. Someone else read how what they did and how they did on their assignment.
Who wants to go next?
I can. Yeah. Okay.
Go, Courtney.
So my one was you may believe that you judge your brothers by the messages they give you, but you have judged them by the message you give to them. So I just agree with that. But the thing that a different sort of saying that's really stuck with me this week is backward steps are part of the dance.
Yes.
Hmm.
And I just love that. It just like gave me freedom to be
Mm.
okay with everything, really.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
that's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
Mm.
So true.
Joey, Jane.
Go for it, Jane.
Go ahead, Joe. Matter of fact, I have to go get my notebook that I wrote it in. I just realized I
Okay.
Okay.
got the wrong notebook. Be right back.
Okay.
My takeaway from last week, put all your faith, put all your faith in it, and God Himself will answer you.
Mm.
I can't even put words to what has been going on over this past week.
It's been intense, hasn't it, Joey?
No. Well,
Oh, it's been
depends on
good.
how you depends on your perspective of how you want to view the term intense.
It could be either way.
Tell us more, Joe.
Yeah.
In a sense of love and understanding, yes. In a sense of terror or fear or whatever, no. It's
Yeah.
just been a great week. Chaotic, like always, busy as can be, like always, but just the different perspective has really shifted, and we'll see where things go uh, from here.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Okay. Waiting for Jane to find her notebook, which may or may not be happening.
We might have to
We
do
can
some of that dancing. Who's going to sing? Do those backward steps, Coralie. You can't cha-cha without it.
That's right, yeah. Backwards in high heels if you're a woman.
Yes, exactly. You know, Ginger Rogers. Well,
so
maybe we'll start reading.
yeah, let's do that.
Oh, no, here she comes. You're always in a different room, Jane.
This is the same one from last week,
Different angle.
but you're right.
How
Change
did
is
you go?
part of life.
Can you find it?
I don't know if this is it, but the protection of God is mine, peace is mine. Hmm. Well, I'll own that one. Yeah.
Okay.
And I've been having a good week
Good.
with, yeah. So, yeah.
So shall we
Okay.
start?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, which screen
What
is it?
paragraph are we on?
We're on paragraph 3 of chapter 10, part 5, The Denial of God, page 190. And why is my chapter not coming up there? There we go. Number 3. Gary, would you like to start us off?
Sure. Allegiance to the denial of God is the ego's religion. The God of sickness obviously demands the denial of health because health is in direct opposition to its own survival. But consider what this means to you. Unless you are sick, you cannot keep the gods you made, for only in sickness could you possibly want them. Blasphemy, then, is self-destructive, not God-destructive. It means that you are willing not to know yourself in order to be sick. This is the offering your God demands because, having made him out of your insanity, he is an insane idea. He has many forms, but although he may seem to be many different things, but he is but one idea, the denial of God. So, of course, Monroe would come in on a paragraph that is really difficult to understand.
Oh, yes.
It's kind
Yeah.
of a
Because
paradox.
all of these chapters build on each other, and the denial of God is the last chapter in a chapter of 5. So let's try to break this down. Would anyone like to give it a go?
I found I can really relate to it if I look at it as resentfulness, partly because that was what I was sort of listening to this morning was a thing about resentfulness and how holding on to that keeps you down. That a sickness could be the same thing of, it's your creation, basically.
Mm.
It's not
Hmm.
like the false god.
Yeah.
Mm.
So who'd like to define what you think the false god is? And that anybody?
The false god is separateness, I guess. It's whenever you feel separate, whenever you feel disconnected, whatever's keeping you from that connection and that one is probably the false god.
Oh, and that really comes down to our ability and to judge others and to separate ourselves from that judgment as a superior or a authority. So that's true.
It's also separating ourselves from God. It's separating like not actually Gary, what we were talking about before about how when you go to the GP, your doctor, and he may break up parts of your body as if they're all separate, but they're not. It's a whole working order and everything has to work together. And what may be
Mhm.
presenting as a symptom is only the symptom, it's not the problem. So if we focus on the symptom, we don't get to actually explore what the actual problem is.
Yeah.
And the pharmaceutical companies win.
Mhm. Mhm.
But as it pertains to this paragraph, you start looking at, the very first thing that starts the entire perspective in the Course in Miracles of what the separation is, because the ability to look through the eyes of oneness, like see people in a perfect place, what that does is it creates this complete separation where the judger is superior and the judged is the inferior. And then you never quite get to the place where you see the truth about the other person in that position. I had a client today, and he knew Charlie Kirk, and he said to me, he said, I don't, I didn't always agree with what he said, but I agreed with the right for him to say it. And I said, I am in 100% agreement. And then he went on to say how, in at least the circles he was traveling in, more faith-based circles, that there was so much hatred being being projected to the other, the Democrats, which is ridiculous because it's ridiculous. It's just a made-up thing. I mean, there is the left and there is the right, but it was one person who created the assassination, not a group of people. And he was just saying that he was so stunned and shocked that that the proponents of Christianity were being so violent and so hateful. And again, the left is just as hateful. But he was very confused by it and very sort of like, how can people say they're followers of Christ and be speaking, thinking, and acting like they are? Like the incongruency is extreme. And he was really having a crisis in faith today, which was, understandable. But, when we start destructing each other, we have to separate ourselves from the idea of the oneness of God. And that is where the harm comes for all of us, and for especially the person who's judging. Um, it just says, I love this. Blasphemy is self-destructive, not God-destructive. It means that you are willing not to know yourself in order to be sick. And I think that we really have to look at, especially in this time when there is a lot of division, that to stand in this place. And this is what I said to him. I said, we have no idea what the what the deeper lesson is that is encased in this event. Well, we kind of do, but I mean the issue is the issue of of hatred, judgment, and wanting to squelch someone's voice on both sides. How do you overcome that? And the Course always gives us this perfect resolution, which is you have to look through the eyes of oneness. You have to be able to see not separate, but see the same. I love this one quote that says, all the lamps of God were lit by the same spark. It is everywhere and it is eternal. And it being everywhere, that means in people that are different than us as well. People that see differently, people that think differently. So
Mm,
it is that one idea.
yeah.
I love that quote. All the lamps of God have been lit by the same spark. And what did you say after that?
It is
That was
everywhere.
it.
It is eternal.
Beautiful.
I love
Yeah.
this. It says, at the very end, it says, he has many forms, but although he may seem to be many different things, he is one idea. And he's talking about, the denial of God, but the same is true of the idea of oneness. He is in many forms and it is many different things, but he is one idea, and that is oneness.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think the thing that plagues me is that just when I think that I'm part of a society that is cogent and there is a lot of sanity to go around, but then so many people have an opinion that the Charlie Kirk assassination was done by someone who wasn't mentally ill. Um, it, who someone who was angry and hateful, and it's like, no, no, yes, we can say all of that if we want, but you don't take a person's life with that. There's no, let's not put him in a category of normalcy in the least, that he was just another angry person who saw division and wanted to stop the opposing side, and that opposing side just happened to be in the form of a Charlie Kirk. um and I'm just like, well, no, this is mental illness. um let's not call it anything else but that. But I feel like that's not what it's being called. So,
No, it's not. But the bottom line is, I mean, literally, gang, you can sit and look at the disturbances in the world, which is all around us right now.
yeah,
And
yeah.
we can call it good or we can call it bad or we can call it right or wrong. But there is a movement in place that circumstantially it's moving the world in a direction. I personally, from my own personality, don't exactly love the direction the world is going in. But what I do know is that God's got a plan, and humanity is evolving, and it evolves through the trials and tribulations it causes
Mhm.
itself. And in that evolution, there is something that is inherently powerful. And I am doing my very best not to sit back and judge it. I'm looking at it is there are forces at play that's moving humanity. And we have to be able to sit back and rather than be the judger or the condemner, but be the observer of how it's rolling itself out. Again, one of the most powerful things that any of us can do is hold our own space and our own peace in the middle of chaos. because to be involved in the chaos is just adding to that. But to
Mm.
sit back and say to yourself, there is a plan. I can, and I think this is vitally important, is to be the one that brings a reasonable approach when if you're ever confronted with people who are thinking quite differently, to just refer back to the teachings of what Christ actually taught, which was love thy neighbor as thyself, love God above all other things. The
Mm-hmm.
next is you will know me by how you treat one another. And that means in how we're looking at each other, how we're looking at this situation. How do I want to view it? I know this is going to sound odd and people's hair may go up on the back of their necks, but if there is a plan of evolution for us, and if we believe that there are no mistakes, and if we think that there is this all-powerful force for the evolution of all of us, then we have to look at what's occurring as part of that evolutionary cycle. Doesn't mean that we don't go into dark periods. It doesn't mean that we don't go into a cycle. It does mean that in the world of your own individual perceptions, you can perceive perfection and you can perceive grace, mercy, understanding, and love to every single side of the equation. Like my one client was saying, I don't know how to engage with my Christian friends anymore. And I said, well, why not? He said, because they're becoming so vengeful and so filled of hate and so wanting to create war and go to war. And I was like, well, are you staying silent or are you saying something? He goes, I'm staying silent because I don't know what to say. I said, I think the uncomfortability that you're feeling is that you're holding back your truth. I said, so
Mm.
what if you just said those two quotes I just said? What if you said to them, if we're going to follow Christ and not the false prophets on the pulpits of our politics or on the pulpits of our churches,
Mm-hmm.
because Christ did say, beware of false prophets, which is what's happening right now. And
Mm-hmm.
what if that you just say to them, Jesus said, love thy neighbor as thyself and love God above all other things. You will know me by how you treat one another. If we return to that and really followed what Jesus said, and ask your friends, who are you following? Your minister, the Republican Party? Are you following Christ? Who are you following?
Mm.
Who are you worshiping? And in that one question will cause people to come to a place of, no, I'm following Christ. Because if you're following something else, you're not a Christian. If you're following the teachings of Christ, yes, you are. But if you're
Mm-hmm.
not following the teachings of Christ, but are the anti-Christian teachings, the true Christian teachings, then you really can't call yourself a Christian. Call whatever
Mm-hmm.
yourself whatever you want. But this would be the teachings and the ways of a Christian following Christ.
Mm.
I rattled on a long time about that, but I just think that we have to start looking at, regardless of the external, we have to find our peace and we have to keep our minds focused on what the Course actually teaches us. You walk hand in hand with your brothers and sisters, not because they behave, not because they're doing what you want them to do or what you think is right, but because they are the same as you, with a different lesson and a different part to play. So I don't know. Someone else talk. What do you think? What do you guys think about this paragraph and what I just said?
I have a
That's
Joey,
actually.
question for you, Gary.
what's
You
that,
used
buddy?
the word following. Do you mean following or do you mean practicing the word?
I mean practicing, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks
Okay.
for that
Mm-hmm.
'Cause
clarification.
I see a lot of people that follow but don't practice, and
Yeah.
a lot of that hurts my heart because they say they follow and they, oh, what's the word? Hypocritical. And they do the exact opposite as soon as they walk out those doors Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. Well, what I'm hoping, because there are a lot of people that do not believe in this new Christian nationalist movement, but what they do believe, they're very strong followers of Christ's teachings, and they're doing just the opposite. They're they're practicing the teachings in real time. And it's highly possible that there'll be an equally powerful movement that
Mm-hmm.
is about practicing rather than following a doctrine. And if that emerges out of the ashes of all of this, that would be quite a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think we have to do, we have to be the ones doing it in our own lives, and that's what matters.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like the state that the human race is in right now, it's almost like we're going from the caterpillar to the butterfly, but we're in that mushy state where we just have to kind of, the more of us who can kind of raise our vibration and be in a state of love and peace and accept people in that state of oneness, the more people that come to that is the only way that we will come out the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why we meet every Tuesday night,
Yes.
Right. Right.
because the world is a powerful hypnotic machine. And
Mm.
um, I cherish this group from the perspective that we can, read the course and remind ourselves for me, this is a very convoluted paragraph, but yeah, we'll be through this sickness and the denial of God, but it always comes clear towards the end, even though the paragraphs may seem a little fuzzy at first, it always comes clear at the end of the chapters.
Mm. Right.
So does anyone else have any questions or comments about this, about number 3?
Well, the one thing I want to interject is that um, the precepts of the Course in Miracle is that all that is real is love, and everything else is illusions. And and I think that I do go through um, my weeks and months with that top of mind, but I do have to have it be top of mind because of what the default, my default brain, um, and so it gives me great hope to to think and to know that yeah, it's just a matter of time that the swinging pendulum goes back to center and then to and to love. Um, the other thing is I look at history, whether we're talking about the Greeks, the Romans, Hitler, you name it. You look at history, and man was pretty barbaric for eons. So I feel like we have made progress. It's just taking a different form. It has a different costume on. Um, so I feel like never before were we able to meet on a Tuesday night, well, or a Wednesday morning, um, and discuss this. So it's like, well, this is great. This is
Yeah.
I get so excited about that. So, anyways, those are some of my thoughts.
Well, the master in India would say to us, I've said this to you guys before, that um, someone asked, why is there, all this suffering in the world? And Maharaji would say, because this is a place, this is the classroom of the soul.
Yeah.
the three-dimensional world is a classroom of the soul. We don't come here to develop peace on earth because there will never be peace on earth. Earth is the place where people come, where souls come to develop and evolve, to have the gift of the human form, to meditate, and to enlighten themselves in the middle of the chaos.
Hmm.
So, this is not a place where peace will ever be, because humanity has been warring against itself for time immemorial since the very beginning of
Hmm.
time, 13, 20,000 years it's been occurring. And the bottom line is, it's our individual jobs not to, well, for me anyways, I'll speak just for myself, not to spend time worrying about how the world evolves because everyone has multiple different lessons to learn here. I remember Dr. David Hawkins would say, well, where do souls go that have to learn about war? They incarnate into Israel and Gaza. Where do souls go that have to learn about famine? They incarnate into Ethiopia. Where do souls go who have to learn about wealth and privilege? They incarnate into the Rockefeller family. So this entire planet is different curriculums for different lessons that millions of souls are having to go through. It will always be this sort of multiple chaotic world that we are experiencing. The bottom line is, what do we do with it? Like you and I, what do we do with it? And what's our lesson from it? And
Hmm.
that is what I think I'm here to remember is my job is to do something different than march in the streets. I've already done that. Didn't work at all. March in the streets and march on Washington, do all those things. I'm here to find my own peace, be as powerful of a force for good as I can be. And each one of you have your own things that you know are your destiny. And I think that's what we're supposed to do.
Mm.
So do we want to
Here, here.
repeat or do we want to graduate?
I
Graduate.
would love to graduate.
Hey guys, I'm sorry. I'm walking around, moving around, so I figured I'd just turn my video off. It was a little bit easier. I'll be to my camera here in a bit. But
No worries, Monroe.
Gary, thank you for saying what you just said. That has got to be one of the most um not enlightening, relieving and enlightening statements and schools of thought because it just allows everything to be what it is rather than you trying to need to put it where it needs to be. You just be where you are. They'll be where they are. And I love your teaching around this whole thing because it's not about clinging to one side or any ism. Um, and just really picking that path that unites both sides and it kind of cuts around the noise. So thank you for what you just said. It was it really hit me very very deeply. Um yeah, that's all I want to say.
Thank you, Monroe. Thank you, buddy.
How about Gary for president?
No, God, no.
There you go.
I could
Yeah.
barely manage my own life, much less that.
Just a little levity.
Truly, that would be hysterical. Let's go to number four.
Oh, I'm just imagining bringing out some of your past there, Gary.
No, God, V, how many years have we been together, V?
Be about 15, I think.
At
Is
least
it?
that
Yeah.
15 or
Yeah,
20. 15 or
yeah,
20.
but somewhere in the middle there. I think it was 2008, maybe. So yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow. V, you look like you just went to the prom a year ago.
I think there's a really kind filter on my computer, but I don't know how it's done that, but thank you.
I've got the foggiest filter on my computer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's go on to
Oh.
there we are, number four. Who'd
Number
like to read?
4.
Jump in there.
Good on you, Joe.
Sickness and death seem to enter the mind of God's Son against his will. The attack on God made his son think he was fatherless, and out of his de out of his depression, he made the God of depression. This was his alternative to joy because he would not accept the fact that although he was a creator, he had been created. Yet the son is helpless without the father, who alone is his help.
Anyone else think this is convoluted?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's break it down. Sickness and death seem to enter the mind of God's Son against his will. Okay, got that. The attack on God made his son think he was fatherless. And out of his depression, he made the God of depression. Okay, can I share with what I think it's saying?
Yes, please.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, sickness and death seem to enter the mind of God's Son against his will. Meaning that when we experience sickness, we think that, we're separate. I've been experiencing sickness now for almost 3 weeks, and death seemed to enter the minds of God's Son against his will. So it does influence the mind, and not in the greatest way. The attack on God made his son think he was fatherless. So I'm assuming that if a person has seen death, has sickness, they think that they're alone and isolated. So that's the attack on God. Made his son think he was fatherless, meaning he was alone. And then if he's alone and feels like he's helpless in some way, that would evoke depression. And therefore, he would focus on his depression. And it says, and out of his depression, he made the God of depression. So the focus of the mind is then the worship and the God that you pray to. So if you go into depression, then you are believing that there's no purpose to what you're experiencing and that there is no God. Well, you're disconnected. And so you start focusing more and more on the disconnection and the depression. And then you make the God of depression because you're focused on it. That's what I got out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Does
Mm-hmm.
that make sense to people? And do you guys agree? That may or may not be what it's saying.
Yes, that
I
helps a lot.
agree.
Mm.
Okay.
I
And
agree.
remembering when
I
I've
agree.
had pain and been in sickness, yeah, that's exactly what's
Okay.
going
So
on.
then the next line is this was his alternative to joy because he would not accept the fact that although he was a creator, meaning the son who's depressed, he had been created. Now that I don't get yet. Yet the son is
Mm.
helpless without the father who alone is his help. Okay, I get that.
Well,
Yet
I'm
this
kind of feeling the vibe of you can't find God unless you go through his son type of thing. That's where I went with this one. And I don't know if that fits or makes sense, but that's where I'm stuck at. And it really hit off of the first sentence. Sickness and death seem to enter the mind of God's son. I didn't know if he was speaking to us, his children, or Jesus, his son, as in biblical terms.
well, it's a capital S.
Yes,
So
that's why I kind of figured more Jesus, but was thrown.
now this next thing I'm going to say may or may not be popular. And so, but okay, this is my own perspective. Um, that hmm, hmm. Okay, so I'll say this: if there are any ardent, devout Christians, I may cause offense, so I apologize in advance. But from all the study I've done in my life from different religions, I have come to the conclusion that there have been enlightened souls like Christ incarnating on the planet for time immemorial. And so the Son, in my interpretation, is an enlightened being who's one with God simultaneously in the physical form. There's always one on the planet in every generation. I should say every 100 years. So if that's true, then the Son would mean, because in Christian terminology, there's only Christ for all of eternity, for all the trillions of people that came before Jesus was born, and for all the billions of people that were born after Jesus died. It's only Jesus. But that's not my belief system. My belief system is Christ was one of the many, probably one of the highest, clearest teachers I have ever read. And there's been multiple others that have also incarnated through time. It's the only thing that makes sense to me in different cultures and in different time periods before Christ and after Christ. Now, that is not popular, but that's what my belief system is, and that's what I have seen in my own life. That there are one, at least, enlightened soul on the planet at any 100-year period of time. And yeah,
Mm,
so I
yeah,
just wanted to throw that out for those of you who may feel like, so what's it saying is that I can only get to God through Jesus. And I don't believe that's what it's saying.
I
Um,
agree.
and the the truth about that is, when I met Bill Thetford, he was so awake and so enlightened. And he was a gay man who co-wrote the Course in Miracles. So when you think about, the expansiveness of the course and how many literally multiple millions of people it has touched and transformed, we have to be aware that the figurative aspect of Jesus is that God is made incarnate in a person, in a physical form, because that becomes the Son of God. That is a person who can relate and engage with us at the level that we are at. So that's how I've always framed Christ. When someone asks me if I'm a Christian, I go, yeah, I am. But in my own mind, I know exactly what I'm worshiping. It is this eternal capacity of God to take a physical form in different time periods throughout history. And that I believe in. I can call it Jesus or I can call it something else, but I believe in that.
Call it Gandhi.
Yeah, so many.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that because there's so much religious abuse that has happened, at least in America. People are very wounded, um, a lot of ways by Christianity in the form it's in right now. And if there is anyone on the call that has that, know that, all of us are open and willing and no judgment. If you are just a devout Christian and Jesus is your path, then I would go to war to protect your capacity to believe that and live your life around that. But I would expect the same back from my belief system as well.
Hmm.
I feel that's an important conversation, Gary. Thank you. But I actually think that what he's saying is because it says sickness and death seem to enter the mind of God's Son against his will. And it's been when we've been reading this where it's capital S, it just means someone who's actually connected and feeling the at-one-ment and is practicing what
Oh, I
this
love
text
that
is saying.
interpretation. Yeah, I
Because the
love
next
that.
sentence, the attack on God made his son think he was fatherless. And I don't believe that Jesus or any other incarnation
Oh,
ever thought he was fatherless. So that's why I think that second sentence, the attack on God made his son think he was fatherless.
yeah.
That's when we're having
I,
doubts.
I agree with you, B. I think that that's awesome. That's why I love you so much. because you have
Me
such
too.
great insight, darling. That's awesome. Yes.
Mm,
So, V, why don't you read that through as you interpreted it, and break it down that way.
Okay. I'll make it really simple. The sickness and
Okay.
death seem to enter the mind of us against our will. The attack on God made us think we were fatherless. And out of this depression, we made the God of depression. And that for me is the most powerful. That's what I was kind of focusing on. Out of his depression, he made the God of depression. And it just makes me think of all the times when we now have all these labels for things, for
mm,
our symptoms. So now we have depression, we have ADHD, we have fibromyalgia, we have all these words for things, and we make them the God of how we run our lives.
Mm.
And we ignore, we're trying to find ways through them, but I don't think a lot of them are helpful.
Oh,
I just want to say, V, thank you for reading it that way. That definitely helped me
yeah,
comprehend it
me
better.
too. Me too. That's why we meet as a group,
right.
because we're all going to see it differently. And that is like the gold of a Course in Miracles group.
Hmm.
I do want to say this one thing because um, when you sit by yourself in a time of chaos and you choose to just look out of your eyes and see the divine in all living things, your your energy rises to a place where you'll find peace very quickly holding that perception and that perception only. And the Course constantly repeats that statement
Hmm.
because it says, "Yet the Son is helpless without the Father, who alone is his help." And the way we dive into that is to start to recognize it all around us. That's how we can drink from that cup.
Mm, love it. I just want to mention something. 2 years ago, for about a year, I studied the Baha'i faith,
I love the
and
Baha'i.
don't you? Yeah, yeah. And Abdul Baha'i, he was um, he was a prophet, and and what I learned is it's all about the concept of the oneness,
Yeah.
of getting to that lush, beautiful garden that we can all feed off of, and just, and then the other thought I had was, we're talking about our vibration. We're all energy, and aren't we? We do get to points of enlightenment ourselves as individuals. It's just that we might backslide and we forget who we really are, and then we have to meet on Tuesdays and Wednesday mornings and raise our energy vibration, and so be it, you know. And I think of, oh my God, I think it was 30 years ago when I read Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. You know,
Yeah.
another, an, a, another enlightened person that lived in the most outrageous of situations. You know, the the prisoner camps,
Concentration camps of the Nazis.
concentration camps. Yes, you know. So, I think they're all over. I mean, today, these days, I think people like Joe Dispenza are, very enlightened, and he's putting his money into the research so we can really find out about the mind body connection and how it is so very connected, and how we're literally making ourselves sick
Yeah.
through our lack of vibration. So yeah, this is wonderful. Oh yay.
Well, we're almost at the end, V. You want to
I
take it
know
over from here?
we've read two paragraphs. Oh, but what a journey it's been.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding it hard to find a single thing that I'm going to take away.
Yeah.
I'm in trouble. While Gary was reading, the other page lit up half of a paragraph for me, and I pulled from that, and that's one, two, three, four, five, six paragraphs away.
Tell us what it is.
Yeah.
If you're going to take that
So
Mm.
away.
what I'm
I'm going to
choosing to
go
take, what I'm choosing to take is love does not die. But the whole phrase is, or the paragraph starts, only the eternal can be loved, for love does not die. What is of God is his forever, and you are of God. Would he allow himself to suffer? And would he offer his son anything that is not acceptable to him? Gary, while you were talking at the beginning of the call, that just lit up for me, and I had a moment.
No,
Beautiful.
it's awesome. It's awesome, Joe.
Mm.
I'm,
Mm. I
I'm
love
going to
it.
go back. Go ahead, Jane.
No, I just said love it, Joe. Love it. Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to one of my past ones. And this is the one I'm going to work on this week. God will do his part if you do yours. Remember to see oneness. Nothing is beyond his will for you, but simply your will to surrender him, and behold, he will give you everything but for the asking. I love that phrase.
Mm. Beautiful.
And
Who
Joe's
lives-
already given us his then.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know.
Okay. Go, Jane.
Yeah, Gary, I know you said this, and I think you were pulling from one of the chapters. All the lamps of God are lit by the same spark.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
Oh,
that's mine.
good.
beautiful.
V,
Thank you.
what's yours?
I'm going to go with you will know me by how you treat one another.
Mm,
That's such a good one.
Mm.
mm-hmm.
Carly?
Corley?
I'd like to share this quote that's not from A Course in Miracles, but for the group. It's Margaret Mead. She said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has.
Yep.
Corley, that's so
Whoa.
weird you would pick that. I had that in steel raised letters. And the first clinic that I opened, that was a quote on a wall. The letters were like this big on the wall as people walked into the reception room. It was on a fuchsia wall in silver steel letters, that exact quote of Margaret Mead.
Wow. This is chills down the spine time.
Mm.
Yeah, those were the days. Those were definitely the
Love it.
days.
Mm.
Monroe, do you have anything that you want to practice on this week from that call?
Yeah, I think just grounding into again that statement that Gary brought up just about what I took from it is we're all individual um, sparks. There's a lot of way of God's consciousness, right? And to just allow it to be and understand that it was just the way that he framed it about just everybody's walking their journey. And I think that's freeing for me because it's like I'm just walking my journey. I don't need to compare myself to other people in any area, nor do I need to judge anyone in any area because um, I'm, my own lesson that I'm learning is my life, and they are learning the lessons of their life. And I think that that's just, yeah, very freeing. Just that hit me. So working on, yeah, just allowing things to be and obvious and also showing appreciation for them learning those lessons that they need to learn. Yeah. So that's what
Beautiful.
I'll be working on. Yeah.
Hmm.
Awesome.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Monroe. It's good to see you,
yeah,
buddy.
nice to have you here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Sorry, I was skipping around. I had an appointment that I was running back from. So
It's all
Oh,
good.
doesn't matter. Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
gang. God bless you all, and
Thanks,
I'll see
everybody.
you soon. Okay.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
See
Bye-bye.
ya.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
See you
everyone.
next week.